Today we're in the studio of watercolor artist Dale Perkins, whose website is www.sanfranciscowatercolors.com. Dale, thanks for having us today. It's really a pleasure to be here in your studio.
Hey, it's a pleasure every day for me to be in the studio. I just thought I'd mention that I have an awful lot of San Francisco scenes. And it's not just a coincidence. That's my childhood. That's where I walked around. That's where I roller skated. That's where I had my good times at the playgrounds playing basketball with other kids I eventually played high school basketball with. It's a memory that just keeps me alive and going. But I also love the detail of it.
Well, you grew up in San Francisco, you have fond memories of San Francisco, and clearly on your website, I guess they can see just about everything they want from the San Francisco watercolor collection, right?
Well, San Francisco, yes, but there are other things too. There's pen and inks, there's watercolors, there's florals, there's horses, there's just about anything you want, and I want you to look at that later on too.
Well, thanks for mentioning that, because I know you have the largest collection of San Francisco watercolors, but I also know that you are very much sort of in tune with nature, and florals are one of your specialties as well. Can you give us some introduction on that?
You know, that is really funny, because I go back to the 3rd grade, and I can remember studying flowers, studying birds, studying trees. And I remember to this day all of the trees, and I remember the robins, but even this, I mean, how can you not be inspired by something as beautiful as that? And that really has always attracted me and always started me, and I'm still inspired by nature and paintings.
Well, I see one of your florals here, and you mentioned quite often how everybody sees a picture differently and how you really need to uncover your inner beauty, if you will. Can you just sort of describe this painting and what inspired you on this one?
I can, and I can because, like I said, everyone sees things differently and they pass it by and care less, or they don't see the beauty. But I like to see the beauty of the detail. And the flower has detail, the leaves have detail, the grass has detail, and there are lights and darks, there are grays and greens. But one of the things about it is the Impressionists came up in the 1800s. They didn't want the detail. They wanted the impact of the color, and that's wonderful too, and will always be.
So you mentioned detail, and one of your, I guess, specialties are pen and ink drawings or pencil drawings. It seems to me that there's a lot of detail on those. And why do you sort of deviate from your sort of paintings, which are a little more surreal in many ways, into the detail of pen and ink drawings?
Well, they're alike in many ways, but one of the reasons for the pen and ink is when I started in the 7th and 6th grade and 8th grade, I started with pen and ink, and I started with charcoal because that's all I had, and I didn't know what I was doing anyway. I was just doing it because I enjoyed it. And then I found that people were interested. I received a wallet in high school one time for a sketch, or a cartoon actually, that I had done for someone. And that was my first commission. I didn't even know I was going to get the wallet, but I remember it just like yesterday.
So on the pen and inks, on the watercolors, I can see, who's this?
This is my helper.
Ah.
And this is my inspiration. And she's got to have just as much attention as the painting does.
Well, it's good to have her here too.
Yeah.
So pen and ink drawings, watercolors, and I guess you have San Francisco watercolors, of course, but then you have California watercolors. I've seen you've got surfing, you've got wine country, scenes of California. Obviously, that's because you're from California. But any special ones on the California scenes that you find interesting or would like to talk about?
Well, if you see a painting, everyone is one I'd like to talk about, because I don't even finish the painting unless I'm really inspired by it. I don't mat it unless I like it. I don't frame it if I don't like it. And I just cherish those memories. And every time I do a painting, I hope that I get that same feeling about what I'm doing.
Well, you can see that you get inspired. I mean, you have your outdoor area, and I'll just sort of take you there for a little bit. But this is the yard that you look out into as you're doing some of your work. And then you're surrounded by your artwork in different stages of refinement. And I also find it fascinating that you have done some carousel horses. And personally, I like carousel horses, but what is it about the carousel horses that made you want to sort of do a series on those carousel horses?
You know, I think that goes back to childhood too. Any of us, anyone who's ever been on a carousel remembers the gorgeous color, the lacquered finish. And then we all love horses. I know little about them, but we all love horses. And that inspires me. The Carousel in Gourmet Park and Santa Cruz. I could keep doing those because they just inspire me.
So these paintings that I see in here, and many that I'll see on the website, a lot of them are in homes, they're in restaurants, but I also understand that you do a lot of corporate work as well. Can you describe how did that come about, and what do you do for the corporate client?
Well, I have seen a lot of corporate packages, and almost all of them are baskets with bottles of wine and something related like that. And I thought, gee, isn't that nice? I mean, who doesn't like wine? I don't like wine personally. But wouldn't it be nice to put some prints, some frame pieces, or some note cards, or another dimension, or where that corporation is going, a sketch of where they're going, so that can be part of the message of what they're giving back to their people. And so I think that's a full package, and I just enjoy working with corporations and their different needs, and they're all different.
And I suppose one unique differentiator from your artwork versus the basket is the basket's taken home, the cheese is eaten, or the salami, or whatever that might be, and it's over. But art keeps on giving. It's something that can be put on the wall. It's going to be a remembrance. Is that what you're finding from some of the corporate art?
I think so. And the other is, let's say they're meeting at a particular place in this scene. They might say, gee, Dale, I'd like you to do a painting of where we're meeting, Fairmont Hotel, or near the Transamerica building, or maybe they're involved with a trip on the bay or something like that. They like to personalize what they do. And I work with big companies that really do that, and they do that well because they work with professional people that are very good at that too. So that's part of the fun part.
Well, you've got a fully functional website. Again, it's www.sanfranciscowatercolors.com. My understanding is that we can order anything through the website, and that would include your note cards, any, I guess, multiple sizes of your artwork, and that would include pen and ink as much as the watercolors. I guess the website's been up for quite a while. So are you constantly changing the website?
We're trying to, and we do it as frequently as we can, but I want you to look at the website because right now the video is to introduce you to, I guess, to me and what I'm trying to do. And it's also to have you explore other things and see them a little bit differently than just going to a site and seeing all these pictures and then what, you know. So thank you for visiting me. I appreciate it.